There are stories that time buried so deeply they seem like legends. Between the splendor of American gold and the shadow of the caravels, there once existed Spanish colonies that disappeared without a trace, territories dreamed of by the crown, inhabited by pioneers, missionaries and soldiers, and swallowed by silence. They are names almost erased from maps, towns lost in forests, fortresses buried in sand, and promises that never bloomed. Today, Passaporte du Tempo travels to the edges of the Spanish Empire to uncover what remains of those forgotten colonies. An empire within an empire, devoured by its own destiny. The 16th century. The world had just expanded before Europe's eyes. The sound of the tides was the rhythm of human ambition. In the heart of the Atlantic, Spanish caravels sliced through the ocean like lances of wood and faith. Spain, newly unified under Charles V and later Philip II, had become the empire on which the sun never set. From Andalusia to the Philippines, from the plains of Mexico to the Andes, the red and gold of Spain's flag fluttered over unimaginable lands. But glory, like the wind, is fickle. While cities like Lima, Havana, and Manila flourished, other colonial ventures sank into oblivion. They were fragile, isolated endeavors, born of imperial dreams and local ambitions, outposts that tried to fix Spain's presence in hostile or disputed lands. They were at once mirages and warnings, reminders that the empire, despite its size, was not indestructible. The contrast was immense. On one side, Seville became the richest port in Christendom, ships departing laden with silver and spices. On the other, at the unknown edges of North America and the Pacific, small groups of settlers tried to found towns amid wild lands and wary native peoples. Many of those colonies didn't survive their first decade. Others were consumed by jungle, desert, or simple forgetfulness. It is about these colonies, the ones time erased from the map, that this story turns its gaze. Places like San Miguel de Gualdape, Spain's first attempt to found a city in what is now the United States, Ajacán in Virginia, or the mysterious Guayrá, deep in Paraguay's forests, where Jesuits built a lost spiritual refuge. Fragments of an empire that dared to dream too far. Imagine the silence of these places today. No bells, no ports, no flags. Only the echo of a past dissolved in mist. After Columbus's first voyage, Spain realized it had not reached the Orient, but something far greater, an entire continent waiting to be conquered. The Catholic monarchs authorized new towns, among them La Isabela on the island of Hispaniola. It was the first European city in the Americas, and also one of the first to vanish. Disease, hunger, and poor organization turned the dream into ruin. Today, its stones sleep beneath Dominican soil, silent witnesses to imperial haste. In 1526, a nobleman named Lucas Vázquez de Ayllón led hundreds of colonists toward what is now Georgia in the United States. He sought to found San Miguel de Gualdape, the first Spanish town on the North American mainland. The journey began with promises, fertile lands, gold, and conversions. But reality was cruel. Winter came early, supplies ran out, and a rebellion of enslaved Africans, the first in the Americas, marked the end of the colony. Within months, the settlement vanished. The empire moved on without looking back. 60 years later, in 1570, Jesuit missionaries tried again. They founded the colony of Ajacán on Chesapeake Bay. There were no armies, only faith and crosses. The mission lasted less than a year. Every priest was killed in an indigenous uprising. Spain would never return to that coast. The colony became a myth, a scar in the empire's spiritual expansion. In the heart of South America, between the Paraná and Paranapanema rivers, the Jesuits built something different. Indigenous communities governed jointly by Spanish priests and Guarani leaders. For decades, Guayrá flourished as a social experiment ahead of its time. Baroque music, schools, organized agriculture. But the dream disturbed the settlers from São Paulo, the Bandeirantes, and the Spanish crown itself. In 1648, the missions were destroyed, their people forced to flee. Guayrá dissolved into the forest, swallowed by green. Further north, in the Antilles, a colony called Santa Cruz was founded by Spaniards in 1525. It was meant to be the perfect outpost between the Caribbean and South America. But the sea does not forgive. Hurricanes, pirates, and rival European powers, French and Danish, erased Spain's presence from the island in less than a century. Today, its ruins lie beneath resorts and beaches. The empire turned into a tourist memory. While the Atlantic boiled with conquest, the other side of the world hid even more elusive promises. In 1565, Spain finally connected the Americas to the Philippines. But before that, explorers had tried to found colonies across the Pacific, on islands like the Carolines and Marianas. Few survived, many were never officially recorded. They are invisible points on the map of an empire that sought to rule the world but barely understood its own vastness. By the late 17th century, the Spanish Empire was already cracking. Wars in Europe, smuggling, and the rise of England and Holland drained its strength. The forgotten colonies became symbols of a weary empire, memories of a time when Spain believed it could touch infinity. Cartographers erased names, priests became ruins, and nature reclaimed what was hers. Today, the traces of those colonies are almost invisible. A wall covered in roots, a rusted cross, a name whispered on an old maritime chart. The Spanish Empire, stretching from Alaska to the Philippines, did not disappear all at once. It dissolved, like ink in water. Each lost colony was a reminder that neither power, nor faith, nor gold can conquer time. The towns of Gualdape, Ajacán, and Guayrá were not erased by the elements alone, but by human forgetfulness, the most powerful eraser of all. There is a poetic irony in this. The same empire that built cathedrals upon indigenous ruins had its own ruins swallowed by time. And perhaps that is how history balances itself, returning to the earth what pride once raised. As the sun sets over the silent ruins of the old Spanish America, one question lingers in the air. What truly remains of an empire? Not its walls, nor its maps. Only memory. And memory, like the wind that blows through the forests where Guayrá once stood, is all that binds us to what time tried to erase.